So I've started my annual seeds off. I've got quite a few things set and I'm going to set some more this afternoon. But this video isn't really about that, although it's showing you them. This is showing you that obviously, as I've said many times before, I use one of these old Aladdin Blue Flame Series 22 2-inch wick greenhouse heater. And I have great success with this. A lot of people say, oh, you'll get condensation. Well, can you see? Can you see my greenhouse? My greenhouse is beautiful and clear. There is no condensation in here. It doesn't smell. It smells lovely and warm and damp like greenhouses, but it doesn't smell of paraffin. These are if you get these set right and use the C1, the top grade paraffin, these burn. Can you see it running there? Perhaps you can't because it's too light, but it's got a lovely blue flame. Sure, it's flickering a little bit because it's on a very, very low setting. I'm trying to be economical with the paraffin this year. But the key to using these, in my view, is this. Can you see? I've got the side vent of my old 50-year-old greenhouse and open. It's open on a brick there, and I have that open all the time to let good ventilation in. Now you might say, well, that's ridiculous. You're heating a greenhouse and you've got a damn great, hole there where air can. But everything's raised up that I want the heat. That cool air is coming and feeding the heater, and if anything is pushing the warm air up under the staging and on my tables where I have the plants, and it's giving the heater a good clean supply of air which it needs. If you have one of these and you've got a very airtight greenhouse and you go away and shut the door and all the vents are shut and you haven't got any automatic vents, eventually the heater will go out because it will burn all the oxygen in the greenhouse, and people have had that happen, and then it might smoke and also damage your plants. So you do need adequate ventilation with one of these heaters. Never ever, in my view, buy a yellow flame paraffin heater. The old brand that comes to mind is Eltex. They smell. They soot comes out of them. The plants don't like that at all. I've seen people try to use them, and I have never had what I call a yellow flame paraffin heater, because ever since I've had this greenhouse, I've had one of these Aladdin, Series 22 heaters, and I get on so well with them. I had a guy who responded to one of my videos when I did one of these heaters up, and he said, oh, you shouldn't be using that in a greenhouse, it's not good, you'll kill all your plants. And I showed him a video of all the bedding plants that I'd grown that year, and I couldn't convince him otherwise. He was adamant that these were no good, they were rubbish. Obviously they can be problematical if you don't use them right, and it's not a heater that you're going to use 365 days of the year. You couldn't afford to do that now anyway. It's not that sort of heater. If you've got delicate plants in your greenhouse and you're trying to keep it frost free all the year round, don't buy one of these. If you've got that sort of money, heat it electrically or gas or any other form of heating that is vented. But this is ideal for raising seeds. That little bit of bottom heat, can you see I've got the extended arm going under the stage in there, so the warm air wafts under those trays. It's beautiful and warm under there. The compost gets warm, and this really aids germination. So I like these heaters, and they're a bit of a faff. You've got to be there to control them. If the sun comes out, you've got to be there to go and switch it off, because this time of the year the sun has got a lot of power in it through the glass, so you want to switch it off then. And you do need a good, one thing to match this, you do need a good maximum minimum thermometer to see what the temperature's been doing in the greenhouse, and that's how I control it. And I've had great success, and as I say, you can see it's sitting there happily. This has now been, because it's been very cloudy and dull, and I'm not going to say it's desperately cold out, but as it's been quite cool out, this has been running now since 7 o'clock last evening, and it's now the early afternoon the next day, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and you see I'm not even off, I don't know whether you'll see that there, I'm just down to the F of the fuel, so I've not burnt a lot of paraffin in that time. And you know, I can feel, put my hand there, it's lovely and warm, and you know, it's keeping the heat in with that glass on top. And you know, that's how I get, you know, I've always thought I get very good germination. So that's it, that's how I heat my greenhouse. And having said that, I can just see the sun starting to peer out a little bit, so I might well put this off for a little bit. I want to finish, just top it up with paraffin, ready for later on. And as you can see, I've got some cauliflower plants in here, and they look fine. And as I say, if you look around the greenhouse, in the roof, there is no condensation on anything. And the key is definitely getting the ventilation right. You know, you soon learn how, you know, to ventilate and what works for you. So I would say, you know, if you want to try and raise a few seeds and you're struggling in an unheated greenhouse and you can afford a few gallons of paraffin, try and find yourself one of these. They still are available on eBay. They're quite easy. I've done, you know, I've done several videos of where I restore these. They're easy to restore. You can buy all the bits. You can buy new wicks. You can buy wick winders. You can buy these surrounds and the mica. So yeah, there we go. That's the Aladdin Series 22 greenhouse heaters in operation, being used, and in my view is a great little heater.